Hello and welcome. Welcome to the first episode in English. I'm so happy I can share this with you. When I started this series, I wasn't that aware of how rewarding this is going to be. I knew exactly that the reason why I want to do this is to highlight amazing people and their stories because there are so many out there. People that are great in what they do that really have an impact on the world. Some of them hardly speak about themselves and about their work and about their story because they are humble. And here comes the mission of the podcast. For you, the one that is listening this for the first time, the purpose of the podcast is to bring in front of you people and their stories so that you can be inspired while seeing another perspective of life that you might not thought about. I am a professional certified coach, and my mission is to empower people with everything they need so that they live a life they love. And the podcast is just one way of accomplishing this mission. So, if after listening to this episode you want as well to be part of the mission, or simply if you want to inspire people through your story, just let me know. I will leave in the description box my contact details so that you know where to find me. Let's show to the world that you matter and that your story matters as well. Let's help people out there by simply being yourself. This being said, my guest today is for sure a special one. Sanjay knew from a long time before becoming a full time coach that he's really good with people. Now he's a life architect. He started his career in IT, where he practiced this for 12 years. In 2015, he was quite bored of doing the same thing and realized that he was not that good with the machines. But as I said earlier, he was rather good with people. From that moment onwards, he started investing more and more in learning about all human aspects. And this is how he started to focus on empowering people and helping them understand how to design their life. But more about this, about his vision, about coaching in itself, we will hear together from my special guest, Sanjay.
Welcome, Sanjay, and thanks a million for accepting my invitation and for discussing about a topic that is so close to both our hearts. I see, that is coaching.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much. And I'm very excited and looking forward to it.
Me too. Let's see what we can offer to all of our listeners. First question that will be that is really important so that our listeners know as well more about you. Who are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself, about this passion for coaching, or anything that you would like to share with our listeners.
Sure. Well, as the name says, I'm Sanjay Shukla. I'm born in India, but I've been pretty much a global person in a way that I covered a lot of countries. I traveled physically, some of them, and virtually I have been there in all of the countries. And I'm not a traveler, but the concept of that I always believe that we are one, and I look at this way that that it's like if you're wearing clothes, that doesn't define what who you are from inside. For me, it's like your colors, skin color, your language, your cultural traits are pretty much like those clothes, right? Internally, we all are human being, and this is how we all are connected. We basically want the same thing. So my whole life revolved around this concept. uh, I grew up learning a lot of stuff, and of course, like my passion was always been into writing poetries and connecting with people, exploring about them. But majorly, I spent time studying maths and science, and this is how I turned out to be a computer engineer. And I spent 12 years working with uh, IT companies across the world. I've been to US, been to Europe, been to Dubai, UAE. And while I was doing that, in those 12 years, I remember that I hardly remember what projects I worked with, but I only remembered the people I was connected. I remember all of them. I remember their stories. I remember the challenges. Somehow I was drawn into their challenges, and we were together fixing, and finding solutions for them. And I think this is how I feel that I had got this awareness that, there's something in me which is working for others, right? And I should pursue it to do not just whenever I get chance, but as a full-time basis. Okay. And I think this is what I took the decision in 2016. I just jumped into it. And in the personal side, okay, I'm a father of a 6-year-old daughter called Shania, and my life partner, who's like a very strong woman, and I have been with her since even before we got married. So we were together like from last decade, and I'm fortunate to be with her. And yeah, this is pretty much what I am from the surface, and I think you will explore more when we'll be talking in details.
For sure. Thanks for this. The next thing that I will be curious about, you spoke a little bit about this, but why you chose the coaching path? Because I guess the answer is more
Mhm.
than that you just said before.
Yeah, and I would say it this way, that I haven't chosen the coaching. The coaching chose me, right? Because I hardly remember when is the time when I started, because that was pretty much part of me. I've always doing this. I never knew that it is called coaching or life coaching. That only I figured it out later in my career, than when I learned about a lot of stuff. But if you understand, like the more I learn about life coaching, more deep I go into, then I realize that there's nothing new which is coming from outside. There's a lot of things which is already there in me, and this is something which I was already inclined to by making that difference. Going out, helping people, connecting with them, providing as much of insights to them to make a change in their life, to make their life better. So yeah, to answer that, I think pretty much I haven't made the conscious decision to choose coaching, or it was somewhere subconsciously there in me.
What does coaching mean to you?
Right. So if I have to put it in a very simple way, right, that coaching is all about empowering people. Okay. It's not about giving just a straightforward solution to them. It's not about just motivating them. It's not about fixing or, uh, there are a lot of other definitions, but to put it out there, what is coaching for me? It's to empower people. That you need to fit in a belief in them that there is enough and all the resources are already in them.
And which are the resources that you have in you? Meaning, what do you think a coach needs to have?
First and foremost, I guess you need to have a compassionate heart, because this is required to get connected with those people. As we say, that without getting data out of those people and without making them comfortable in that conversation, we are helpless. We, as a coach, can't provide any solution, or we can't put them in a position where they can find it on their own, right? So the first thing, I feel that you need to be a compassionate person first.
When I posted the picture on Instagram and tell
Mhm.
the listeners that we are going to have this, one of the questions that I received from somebody was, "What is a life architect?" And I answered, "You should listen to the podcast for sure." So that Sanjay will answer to your question. But what I did was, because I
Mhm.
also read this in one of your posts on LinkedIn, I guess, if I remember properly, that you basically design your life. You don't live it by just
Yeah.
um, I don't know. You just simply design your life. But tell us more. What is
Right.
life? What is a life architect?
Great. So this is like my favorite topic. Like I get this question so often, because at time we in the life coaching, the topics are more towards the emotional side or more psychological side, right? And this architect comes as a more of a mechanical or technical word, right? So what it is, first, because I have been an engineer by heart. Okay, I put a lot of time studying about these equations and designing and coding, programming. So, and I was like, the last title was cloud architect in IT. Okay, so I was an architect, and I was very happy and kind of sort of gifted. I felt that, the once I have given the data, I can put everything together. I can connect those dots and then come up with a design. Okay, so the architect part was there. Then when I started being a life coach, when I had to think deeper in me, that what exact thing I can give to people. Okay, what different I have, right? There's so many life coaches out there. If I have to be very accurate, that what exact gift I had to share with people was this, that I wanted people to live by design. And I have seen that people are like very much, in the pressure and influence of so much thing happening around them, like either physically or in Instagram, the social media. People don't know who exactly they are, and they just get, drifted by the expectations of everyone around them. And they forget that there is one identity which is true to them. And once they realize that, then only they can live the life by design. And what I mean by this life by design, that you choose what works for you. You choose that what you love to do, right? And this is when you can start living. I feel that, the people, when till the time they don't realize who they are and what they love to do, and they're not choosing to live by design, where they are taking control of everything, I feel they are just mere breathing, right? They are not actually living. And when the day happens, when they start living it by design, this is what I actually call it as actual living. And this is what the people are starting to realize when I formed this company. And when I founded Life Architect, my sole motto was just this, that whoever I meet with, I need to ensure that, they know who they are, what they love to do, and all the resources what they have in order to live the life the way they want. So yeah, this is the whole core and heart of this Life Architect and the definition of Life Architect.
Which is the best, not the best, but the most beautiful transformation that you saw with your customers, clients, or people that you are getting in contact with?
So there were many, and I would just restrict my focus on the people who I came in contact when I formed this Life Architect. Okay, because earlier, pretty much what all things I did followed a similar pattern. Okay, so Life Architect came into existence technically business-wise in 2016 or 2020, but I was pretty much doing the same thing earlier. So, but let me focus on when I formed this Life Architect. One customer, okay, they came to me as, and this is the like very farthest of the work which I'm not too connected with. Like I'm more into the relationship side, the self-awareness, and the more into this feelings, emotions related topics. Okay, now this client, because he's one of my friend's friend, and he came to me, and they are into startups, and they said, we want to take your help. Okay, just come and just give us some help. I went there. I was thinking that it's a business client and it's corporate, and it will be very, mechanical sort of conversation, and they'll be like talking about this jargons which they use in corporate. So it started from there. Those people hooked me up that with all the details what they were facing, and you know what happened? Like the first conversation, okay, we discussed about business. We figured out where are the gaps, okay, and then the moment they have all the gaps, they realize that they called me for something, and then suddenly they are realizing there's so many things needs to be fixed, okay. And then while we were working on the business side, their teams, their strategy, their a lot of other stuff, and then slowly, while the conversation was going on, I realized one of the founder has some issue, right, with his personal life, okay. And then he came up sharing about that. Then it was a personal coaching with him, then where we were working together, to figure it out. And he had a lot of limiting beliefs, right, that I can do this, I can do that. And then what happened? Then suddenly he started becoming better. And then there were relationship thing which was happening with another founder and his wife. So what happened in this whole process, that whatever the way they were changing in their business, it's just not their business front, but they were changing holistically. And we believe, we all life coaches, and particularly me, always believe that you can't change one facet of your life and others will not get affected. Of course it will get affected, right? And this is the beauty of changing holistically, because sometimes you change something in your personal life, it reflects automatically in your professional life, right? You suddenly start seeing results, that you are hitting the revenues, you're good in your performance, right? So everything is connected. So I got very much satisfaction, because I thought I'll probably not be going to meet any corporate client or not take any business coaching, but I started from there. Not just their business changed, but their whole life, the personal life, the relationship, the personal front, self-awareness, everything changed. So that gave me a lot of satisfaction.
And the next thing that I have in mind is
Mhm.
how coaching can help people, apart from this thing that there will be a lot of areas that they can improve in their life. Why do you think it's coaching important from your perspective?
I would like to start with my own example, okay? And you would relate to it that, before being the life coach, even we are human beings, right? We have all faced a lot of challenges ourselves, right? So when I put myself in that position, right, where all the people are, and then I start observing that if there are like two worlds, right? One world where I was alone, fighting and dealing with all my challenges and how I came up with solutions and how I transform my life. And the second is where if I had a life coach with me, right, how it would have changed everything. Okay. So with that perspective, if I had to throw some light on me as a human being, while growing up, I was never sure who I am, who I really was, right? I was just trying out so many different things. I was like being influenced by my parents, my friends, my brothers, so many people around. So I was just not knowing what exactly to do, but I just kept on, going on with my life. I did engineering, worked with, with machines, and like, I was just feeling that, a lot of times I was like so depressed as well. I need to be very honest with you, because there was some dark times where I was like not at all happy with my life, and I felt, I was very close to call it the end, because I was not finding a way out. I was just not finding the happiness. And the worst part was I was not sure what exactly is wrong. Okay. So while I was just juggling and fighting it out, and we all have some support system, right? There are peoples around who just play a small role, right? Knowingly or unknowingly, they just give a nudge or push or some motivation, some direction that shapes you, right? If you're lucky enough. Most of the people, they don't get it. But now if I look back to that Sanjay Shukla who was growing in 20s or who was in his teenage, and then now I'm a life coach, I know what all things it provides, right? If I would have this opportunity to have a life coach with me, first thing I would have got is the self-realization, the self-awareness. Because coach is nothing. They know how to show you the mirror. Just put the reflections of your behavior, the way you are, talking it out, what you're sharing. They can tell you what you're going through, right? That would have helped me to understand what exactly is the problem. And the second was, while I was just trying out so many different things without knowing what will work, what will not, I lost a lot of time. I was from getting frustrated. I was making wrong decisions. But if I would have had one life coach alongside with me, right, they would have empowered me with all the resources I had already, right? I keep saying this thing, Andrea, to when people ask that, what you will tell to your younger self, right? It's a very common question people sometimes ask, right? I always get this answer that I would just go back to my 16-year-old or 20-year-old Sanjay and tell, you are enough. You have everything in you, right? And this is what, as a life coach, we do. If somebody would have just told to me that time, I would have not wasted a lot of time fighting it out or trying to show that, I'm something, because I was always something. I had some uniqueness in me already. And then third thing is that at times, once I have known that what I am with the help of a life coach, and the second thing that, what exactly I wanted to do, right? And the third thing is even the life coaches at times provide you those scenarios and a lot of success stories and a lot of motivation and inspiration from other people who have done great in life. You get the directions, what would suit you the best, and based on that you make your decisions, and every day you wake up with a plan in hand, and this is how you live your life. There's nothing like good plan or bad plan. It's just plan, right? You need to have a plan to plan out your day. This is how you get active, and this is how you can be happy. So I don't know, like that's a very long answer, but when I look back to it, I just taken my own example that I would have got a lot of benefits if I had a life coach alongside with me while growing up.
It's a long but such a beautiful answer, and thanks a lot for it. It's a really beautiful answer. You were mentioning earlier about exactly this, the process and change and all these things. Do you think that
Mhm.
people change only when they are under pressure, or what is exactly that triggers the change in people?
Very good question, Andrea, because as a human being, we always resist change, right? We need to accept that, right? But as you said, when there's a pressure, we change. I think that is probably the worst way of, changing, because when you are into pressure, of course, you are rushing things. Okay, you're not at ease, and at times you are not very much, you know, aligned or in sync with that decision of making that change, right? And this is probably not the best of the way to get this change. Now, if I have to answer that about this changing, we hear this word a lot, that we ask people and we push people, or we inspire people to change, right? First thing is foremost, because change is the only constant, as they say, and which is the fact. We are always changing. We are always changing. Doesn't matter if you are telling that I don't like change, I'm not going to change, and you're trying to be rigid to it subconsciously. But understand one thing: with everything around you, you are changing. You are just not realizing it, maybe. So there are two options for you. Either you decide that what exact change you want to bring in yourself, or without you knowing, anyway, you're anyway changing. And that probably will not be aligned with whatever is your plan. So yeah, this is what I feel about, when people look at this change thing.
I feel the same. You mentioned earlier about, I mean, I asked you what is important for a coach to have, and you said about that sweetheart, as I like to say,
Compassion.
but compassion, exactly. So apart from that, what a good coach will do about apart from being compassionate with the people around.
Yeah, and that was just the first and foremost thing. That was not the only thing which a coach need to be a
Hmm.
good coach, and in order to make that change. So it starts with compassion, but there's one template, if I can just throw at you, that which I feel, right, when you are sitting with a person or a group of people or community in front of you, the compassion is of course the key, right, which opens the door, or which integrates people, which connects people. Now after that, in order to get in them, or make some changes, that you need to have these three things. The first is, you need to have the right intent. The intent, which people can feel that, okay, this person wants something good for me. Okay, the right intent. This is what will connect. After connection, this is when people will start opening up, because if they don't get this trust, and then they are kind of in a place where they want a solution for a problem, because they're desperate, but they don't want to. They'll try to hide as much as possible. So it is very important for a coach to have this right intent, and that has to be visible in the way they talk, they speak, the way they display any kind of expression, impression. It has to be to get that right intent, across that person. Once that is done, then the second thing comes as the understanding. And how the understanding will come, right? These are like umbrella and the blanket terms, but inside any of one of them, there are a lot of skills which is covered. Like, for example, the understanding part involves a lot of active listening. Okay, as a coach, you need to be master of active listening, because if you want to understand somebody, what you have to do, you have to ask the question as clear as possible, and then just listen and listen and listen and listen. Doesn't matter. Some people will be very specific and tell you in one line. Some people will just go on for like hours, right, without making a point. But still, you need to be with them in order to generate that understanding. Because if, let's say, if I'm sitting with you, I haven't heard you well, I haven't understood what exactly you are. Do you imagine anything further which we do as together as a team is going to fall into wrong? It's not going to hit the right bullseye, right? It will be waste of time, right? So this understanding becomes very important, and for that, you need to be considerate for the people, and you have to be non-judgmental, because if you are going to make people feel that you have the right intent, of course there has to be element of non-judgment should come out, that you are not judging me for whatever I've done. What I am, right? This is how you are going to be, be truthful, being honest, and being open. Otherwise, if I show some judgmental remarks or in my behavior, you're gonna be shut off. So now the first thing is, once you set up this right intent, and then you set up the understanding that I understand you well, I know you now, right, to get all the data from you. And of course, there are so many techniques also involved, right? And you get better as a life coach when you ask the specific questions without going down the bushes, and you just keep asking those simple questions, and then you just listen to get as much data as possible. Now, the third part, once you have done all these things well, the expertise. Now, as a coach, you have to be an authority. And when I say authority, it's not that you're expert and master of so many things. I hear from so many people that they say, are you a Superman? I said, no, I'm not Superman. I'm a man with probably the super skills, right? But you get the point. It's not about we are something different. We are also like you. But The expertise is why it is important, because let's say if I have gone through a depression myself, and then I worked on it by getting a lot of help from mentors, my coaches, and then I applied everything. So I know the process, how to come out of it. So this is how I develop my expertise, exploring by reading, by being engaged in those activities, by participating in those kind of issues with people or within myself. All these things combines together to make you an expert. And then when you talk with the person, not that you're providing a ready-made solution to them, but while you are listening, you know how to guide them, because somehow you are knowing that what it means. You know the patterns because you have been there or you have studied about them. So if I have to just sum it up, that with the compassionate heart, that is the key to open everything. Once the conversation starts, you need to put it out there, the right intent, the understanding, and the expertise in order to make any change to the people.
While you were talking, I had so many questions in my mind because my curiosity is 100% activated right now.
I hope you are making a notes of those questions. I don't want any of them slip
Exactly.
away.
Yes, I'm doing exactly this. And the a question that came up into my mind was related to how do you think coaching will evolve? Because I was listening to you
Mhm.
and I was thinking, yes, Sanjay was at the starting point like this, but he evolved a lot in this journey. And how do you
Right.
think coaching will be in the near future?
Okay, if I have to follow the steps, I'll give you two answers. Okay, and the first is totally based on the practical, logical answer. So some people like that; they want to know the numbers, the facts, and
Exactly.
statistics, right? So that number, if we follow, right, and this is going to be huge. And if I have to tell the biggest fact, which proves that how coaching is growing, that it has a growth rate of 8%, and that is way higher than any of the profession which exists in today's world. Okay, so by 2025 we are the highest growing in terms of profession, and the number, they call it a $1 billion industry as well. So I know the coaching is growing, the stats and logic supports that. Now here comes the another answer. Okay, so this answer is very close to me, and I am pursuing and following this particular one, because as we are growing from generation after generation, and it does just not in India or Romania or Europe or US, everywhere. And trust me on that. I've spent like as I told you at the beginning, that at the core, I believe in that we are one. And I have spent so much time I have so many friends from different countries, and I speak about things in detail to know. And this is when I came to this realization that we are all are same, right? As a human being, we all basically wants the same thing. So now, as a coaching, why it is so important and so much the need of the hour to have coaches and more coaches, because as we are developing in this generation, we are losing the contact from the basic. We're going farther away from the basic. When I say basic, the basics are pretty much same across the world, and we know the grip was, and the whole transfer of knowledge was coming from the parents, okay, and from the society. Now the parents has been very much supportive and protective to in the beginning of the of our life, and then what happens is slowly once we are start growing up, then we start getting exposed to school and the colleges, the friends, and then different things. Now as the technology has encroached our whole life, now the 2-year-olds are also getting plugged into internet, so you know what I'm talking about. So they're getting influenced by the whole world. They are not into a protected shell, and the basic is just completely distorted. And with that distortion and with so much data around, they're getting lost. And the connection with who exactly they are, what are the basics they are supposed to follow as a human being, as a Romanian, as an Indian, or as a community member, or so there are certain things which they have to follow, but they are losing the grip on that. And what is happening is we have a lot of data to support that. There are a lot of higher, the numbers are growing, that people are getting dropped out from the school, they're committing suicides, and the marriages are not lasting anymore. The happiness index is going down. These are all signs of this. And this is why, not just that it is going to be a $1 billion industry, or we are growing and fastest growing profession, but we need to have more and more people coming in. And not just that we need to be a professional life coach to help, but I want to have so many people. This is when I told you that I get very happy when I get connected with
Mhm.
someone who share the same kind of compassion and mission, right, as you have. because I know that alone I can't do, and alone we can't do. So many people have to come together in this. And to answer your question, is there a need, a demand? Yes. Statistic wise, logical wise, or practical wise, or emotionally, yes. We need to have more and more life coaches in this world.
You know, you can't see me, but I smiled throughout the explanation. I was like, yes, yes, I totally
Yeah, I can
agree. And
imagine.
what stick with me was the fact that we are losing contact from the basics.
Yes.
And yes, unfortunately, this happens. And my next question will be,
Mhm.
apart from what we discussed before, that the coach can guide you, can give you shortcuts in a certain way. Is there any reason why you think people should invest into having a coach by their side?
Specifically, you want me to
Apart
answer in this
from
way?
from example that, as you said
Mhm.
earlier, a coach can guide you.
Yeah.
The personal example that you gave, what would have
Yeah.
happened if you had a coach? Is there any other reason why people should invest into having a coach? Because I see
Yeah.
around that there are people still reluctant to this job. Some of them are saying that what a coach can do, but I can do this myself, and this kind of stuff. I know this will change, this is just a
Mhm.
mindset. But if there's any other reason that you can think of why people should invest into having a coach.
Sure, sure. There's so many answers to it. That's why I asked you to be specific to
Mm-hmm.
what exactly I need to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so ideally, like when if someone asks me, like as a life coach, if they know me and they just come to me and say that, okay, why should I hire you, right? Or why should I hire a life coach? I just say that try it out once, and then you'll get all your answers. This is the shortest way, because if I go on explaining, and you know that how much I love to explain and educate, and so I don't want to get started. I just tell them there's a free session, come jump in and let's see how it goes. And most of my sessions, trust me, I have not done much of the marketing of my work, but the moment I get into this conversation going, and after that there's no stopping, then only people realize what it can do potentially. It's beyond explanation, even in what all things it can potentially do. And I'll come to that answer, but I'm just setting the pretext to this, that it can't be explained to its entirety. Okay. What a life coach can do, it's the possibilities are limitless. The moment you get into a conversation or you start working with a life coach, you explore a lot of things. It opens so many opportunities for you. You not just you complete your work, like whatever is your desired state, what you want to achieve, you do it faster and in a more better way, organized way. And you also get a person who is accountable, who's pushing you, who's always around with you, so that you don't slip away. But you don't even know how many possibilities you still have in you. And once you have a life coach and you get into this conversation, then only you explore those things. So if I have to answer this, like if I have to try to answer it, as I told you already with my this lengthy answer, that there's no straight explanation to it, but I typically put it this way, that people have plans. They always have some desire. They don't have maybe the clarity what exactly they want in life, but they know. Let's say in the office, they know they want a promotion, which they are working for from long, but not able to get it. Or it can be their health related transformation. It can be some personal dating or relationship related goals. They have something they want to achieve. If you have a life coach with you, if you don't have any goals or anything, that also he can help you with. But if you have a goal with life coach, if you invest, the chances of you making it will be higher, first thing. Second, the chances or the speed, sorry, the speed with which you will approach or you will achieve that goal would be faster. And the third thing is the decision, the mistakes, and the delays, and there are a lot of distortions happens in this process, right? We kind of distract, and then we come back on track, and then we slip away again. So as a life coach, we are accountable and we are always alongside with you, so you avoid those delays and mistakes as well.
And I will add something here. Maybe
Mhm.
another thing will be of curiosity, because just try a different way, as the name of the
Mhm.
podcast. Try to see if you
Yeah.
can have another perspective for your
Yeah.
life, because if you
Outside
didn't try
perspective.
this
Thanks for adding it.
before, yes,
Yes.
yes, might be this as
No,
well.
go
So
on. Yeah, please. Yeah, about perspective. Yes.
yes. Another thing that I would be curious about, because you work with a lot of people, and do you believe that people lack the courage of looking deep into who they truly are, and why so?
Okay, so that can raise a lot of multiple layers of, I would not say controversy, but different reaction to it. But the answer is yes. Yes, it happens. And even that is one of the biggest reason why people don't approach another person to get the help. So deep within, they know there is something wrong, but they don't want to face it. They don't have the courage. They just want to go with the flow, the way life is going, without addressing what is bothering deep inside. So that happens. And why? Because this is for sure, it's there in people. And to answer why this, there are a couple of different perspectives to look at it. And if you look at this way, the one is the ego, which we all know. And why ego? That people think that why would I need to ask someone else? It's my life and I can handle it my way. So the biggest obstacle, one is of course this courage. They don't have it, they don't look within, they don't realize it. And even some people who know that there's something needs to be fixed, they have this ego that why should I go out and ask somebody else? So to help people that avoid this ego thing, I always tell this one thing, right? What is there in focus? You want yourself, uh, you know um, it's like this: you want to win a game, you want to win it on your own, or you want to win it faster, right? It's like that. Okay, definitely you can just keep on going on for your life and you achieve one cup or one game you won. But if you are with somebody else, then you can probably make it faster and you can win a lot many more tournaments and games. So what happens is, when you put focus, when you are feeding to your ego, you're just putting focus on yourself, but you're not putting focus on what you can achieve, right? The moment you start putting your focus on the achievements, then it doesn't matter whose book helped me, whose words helped me, which life coach helped me, but you already focus on achieving more and more. So I think, yeah. Is it the direction you want me to answer this, or because this is
Yes, yes,
going
yes.
like very
No,
broad?
I don't have any direction, as I said
Okay.
at the beginning. But yes, I also have the feeling sometimes that people lack the courage,
Hmm.
because you are sometimes so much into your story and so much into the
Yeah.
things that were shared to you, or to the things that were told to you, that you feel comfortable in that area. And while
Right.
looking more deep into who you truly are, if you feel comfortable where you are. So I didn't have any direction. I was just curious
Yeah.
about which is your perspective on this one. So
Right. Right.
thanks
Yeah. The
for.
courage thing you mentioned, courage thing, definitely, I believe that it is the
Mhm.
obstacle. Another one, the biggest one I just mentioned, because there's so many, but yeah, ego is definitely one of them, and how to overcome that.
And talking about ego, I also was conscious about this on myself, because when I started doing the job more and more at the beginning, I wanted things to be perfect outside, and
Hmm.
there was the moment where my ego was there, trying to to figure out and to do the things perfectly, so that I look perfectly in a
Hmm.
certain way. But it's not like this. It's just to make sure that you tell the people the message that you want to tell, to make them understand exactly what you want to say, and make them feel comfortable, make them feel that exactly this, they are enough of who they are. So
There's one good saying I should, I think, quote it, that something like this: that there are no way to live a perfect life, but there are a million ways to live a good one.
yes. And
That I love this one, because it just, because I was like a big perfectionist all my life, so I had this burden, right? So when I read this line again and again, I get this burden off my chest. Okay, so there's no way you can live a perfect life. There are a million ways of living a good one, so let's focus on living a good one.
and this exactly, because I wrote down while you were talking, this perfection thing, it's a hot topic, let's say, um, because we are both like so. But at the end of the day, being perfect in the things that you are doing won't offer space for you to grow, because you are so focused on doing the things in a certain way that you don't offer yourself enough space to adapt if there are any circumstances or any different situations. How is perfection for you? How do you see it?
Okay. So first thing, I already told you that the perfection, there's no way to live a perfect life, right? So I'm just breaking this myth for all the people who are like us. So this perfection trap, okay, what it does. So first thing first, like I always believed in something called mind fluid, if you've heard this term. So we know mindset, okay? So mind is set, okay? So mindset is helping, but it's more damaging at times, okay? Because we are set to a certain way. So we at times have this, we like there was a program I attended long back in Malaysia, and that was talking about this mind fluid thing. And what it basically tells is at times we need to set our mind to be fluid, like it's flowing, and then shape it as the way you want, or as the way things are, as per your surroundings, as per the learnings you have around you. And then it will be set for a duration you are performing something, and then you come back often to start doing this activity of setting this into again a fluid state. So now I'm connecting this with your perfection thing. Now perfection for me is people being set, very set and firm, that this is exactly how I want to do. They have certain thing in your mind, but as I said earlier, this is a myth, right? There's nothing like perfection. So one thing which you have in your mind that you want to do it that way and you call it a perfection, it doesn't exist. There's nothing like perfection, right? So it's just your mindset, which you have set it to that particular or that certain number of steps. But if you look from other side, let's say if from my side or anybody else perspective, what will happen is for them, the perfection has its complete different definition. So everybody has different perspective about being perfectionist, right? Being what is perfect. So to add all these things together in order to just break this this perfection trap, or this myth of perfectionist, first thing is there's no way that you can be perfect. Second, it just shows that you are having a set mindset, which is damaging at times because you're not openly looking for other possibilities.
And what brought for me, for my personal example, being perfectionist,
Mhm.
a lot of stress and a lot of pressure that it was in vain for most of
Yeah.
the time. So yeah, I had to learn to let it go, being a perfectionist.
Yes.
But yeah, this mind flow helps me a lot. And thanks for the
Yeah.
tip.
No, it did help me a lot because we connected on this point, right? We both are like sort of perfectionists, right? We have things
Mhm.
in a very certain way, very consciously doing things, because we want to come up very well, right? It's certain
Yeah.
images there in our mind. So that really helped me to change things for me, because I am like very much, as I told you, that there's a lot of burden I had on my chest, which was like
Mm.
off me when I understood about this mind fluid. So I keep doing this activity so that, I just keep on, being in flow, not just stick to certain ways.
And there's another thing with
Mhm.
this one as well, because sometimes maybe we want to be perfect because we don't want to disappoint the others, but at the end of the day, the only person that we should try not to disappoint is ourselves, I guess. Because
It's
there's
like
one.
this, I feel in my head that, sorry to cut you, but I just imagined about a scenario. It happened with me. Like there's a lady, right? And I just thought probably she would love a pink flowers. Okay. And I got pink roses for her because I was thinking that I'm perfect. I just looked around for a nice florist shop. I got the perfect looking, the pink flowers. And then when I just gave it to her, she hated pink. She liked yellows. Okay. And I was like, oh, I thought I am just gonna, win her that day by giving these flowers, because in my head I was thinking I was perfect. But as I said, everybody has their own definition of perfect, right?
Yes, and I guess this is also related to what you said before about active listening. It's
Yeah.
exactly the same, because if you listen the other people around actively, you
Exactly.
understand exactly what I want, and you understand exactly their perspective, their view on things. And I guess, yeah, this is indeed an important thing in coaching.
Excellent. Excellent. You connected it so well. Yes, totally.
We talk about compassion, and I was
Yeah.
wondering if there are any values or principles that guide you in everything that you are doing for your clients, let's say.
Okay. There's one major one which was a big breakthrough for me. Okay. So all my life, as I told you, that I have always been involved, right, in doing some sort of problem fixing and helping people out with their problems. Okay. So there's one major thing always there that I would do my own research. I'll just go deep into it, and based on my experience, my learning, my perspective, I'll come up with some solutions and just put it on them, right? I had the best of the intents, and majority of the times it worked for them, but at times it failed so badly, and I used to wonder what I did wrong, because I just gave my best thing, right? Again, the perfectionist in me was like telling that I gave the perfect solution. Why it didn't work out for her or him? So what actually happened, I learned this when I got this major breakthrough that, you know what, every person is different. Whatever they are in that particular stage of life is based on the circumstances or the exposure they have got in their life, right? So no two human beings are same, first thing. Second, the person knows the best what is, and the person knows the best that what is going to be perfect solution for them. So this thing was missing in me. Okay, so as a principle I follow now, that I believe in this, that my client and whoever I'm helping, that person is the best person who has all the data and all the resources in them, and they know what is going to be perfect for them. So I keep myself at a distance. I just give them those perspectives and those questions I ask, and to just explore those insights within them, so that they can explore those things. They look things from different angles which they haven't so far, right? And once they are doing this, they are the ones who knows what is going to be best for them. This is the number one and the most important principle I follow, that they are the best people. And this is what I love in coaching, because it works only on empowering people. We don't give advices and solutions or give a ready-made template, right? Do this and your life will be changed. No, we empower people. So that is the biggest principle which I follow in my coaching.
Yes, because I also had this discussion with somebody, and they were telling me, you're going to tell people what to do. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell people what to do. I'm just building this space for them to realize what they want to do, and just empower them through just specific ways.
I do get it. I do get this question a lot of times. A lot of times, people just come to me and said, "So I don't believe that somebody else can fix my problem or anyone's problem." Right? I said, "Exactly. You are right." And they're like confused. So you are a life coach, right? You exactly do this thing. And I said, "No. I empower people. I provide with all my skills and techniques. I put them in a place where they can explore those insights and resources within them. And then at the end, they decide what is best for them, and they do it on their own."
I don't know, what do you like to, by the way, what do you like the most about being a life coach?
For me personally, I'm just keeping my profession and everything aside now. Okay, so being myself, Sanjay Shukla, I love that every day I'm the part of somebody else's story. Okay, so every day there's a new story and I'm part of it. This is what excites me a lot. That someday I'm talking to some a homemaker or an entrepreneur or a teenager, so they have certain life going on, right? And the moment they get into a conversation with me, I get connected with that story. This is my favorite part of being a life coach.
Totally 120% feel you, because I had the same feeling when I started to do the podcast, and when I realized there are so many people with so many stories and with so many challenges and with so many lessons to learn. So it's indeed an amazing feeling, and the journey that you are into right now, Sanjay, I guess apart from the fact that it fits you, I guess indeed it's you're on a great mission. So keep on going. As I was mentioning before about lessons, is there any lesson that you got from your customers, clients, that stick with you?
Okay. Sometimes directly, very very less time directly, but most of the time indirectly, because at times when you are listening to them or while you're working with them, right, there's a lot of reflection. Okay, there's a lot of reflection, as if, and when you are like being in that phase, you're listening to them, you're getting a lot of data about their life, you're putting it in front of them so that they can make out that what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right. And while you do this activity of being a life coach, you also get a reflection, because you're also a human being deep inside, right? You also go through those challenges at times, right? So it happens that you also walk across that imagination that okay, this happens with me as well, and this is what I do, right? So what is happening is, while you are there and you have this strong intent of helping them, so you put your best put forward. You give them all the resources, insights, everything, and they get the best out of it. What happens is, as a life coach, when I close this session or when I come out of it, I feel, yeah, there are a lot of new things or better things I can do for my life as well. So it's just not I'm coaching them. In that, indirectly, I get a lot of learnings out of any session.
And apart from this one, the lessons that you take, which are the challenges that you hear most often from the people, from the ones that come to you? Why which are those challenges?
Okay, so challenges is it's in the focus with the focus of being a life coach and doing my work, right? The challenges at that level, not the people's challenges, correct?
Both sides. Yes, both sides will do. From your side, and the reason why they come to you. For example, I don't know, they want to figure out exactly what they want to do in their career or something like this. I don't know. Any will do.
So if I have to start from them, right, because the focus is completely on people, okay, and we take the shape of, the solution, the way we have to be. So I start with that, and then in between, I can just share that, my personal challenges as well by being in that process. So the first thing which I have seen, the people only come to you or the life coach, most of them, when things becomes very desperate. And when there is a desperation, it's like inversely proportional to your patience. So what happens is people come to you when there's already, the house is set on fire, and then they expect you to just act on it quickly. And so this is the first challenge I face. I want people to be in a very relaxed or calm state, because then only your rational mind will trigger, right? Then only you will come out of desperation and start thinking calmly that what all things you can do. And in order to make them do this, you need to get them to be a bit relaxed and be a bit more patient. But if they come to you when there's already a desperate situation out there, that you can feel that what we go through, right? That it becomes a bit of challenge. And second thing would be like from my side, if I have to tell that, when you be there, they expect you that you know everything. And this is a challenge. It happens. Most of the people will come and just present you with a such situation, and they expect you to just, put your hand in some magic box or something or bag and come up with some magic thing and tell them. So it doesn't work this way, it. And the moment people put you in that situation, it becomes a very challenging to deal with. Because if you tell them, no, I don't have this thing, and people suddenly say, oh, you don't have this, then what are you like? Why you are life coach, right? You should be having all those things. Then it becomes a challenge to set the expectations with them that, what exactly is my role? What is your role? And then how we are going to work as a team. So these two challenges are pretty much happens all the time.
Because at the end of the day, as I like to tell, that there's a partnership between you as a coach and people that come to you, because at the end of the day, is their goal, is their purpose that they would like to achieve. Yes. You are just there for them to empower them, as you already said. So yes,
perfect. Yeah, that partnership thing. Yes. And there's one more challenge we face, that now that let's assume that we have gone through that challenges up front, and then we fixed all of them, we set the expectations right. Now we are into this partnership, everything's going on. Now what happens is, every session towards the end, we are always coming up with actionable advice. Okay, so there's some action items attached to it, okay, which they have to go back and perform. And now so we are not boss or managers, right? We can't just keep giving them reminders, and we can escalate them. So we just need to be very much expecting them to take the ownership. Okay, so this is the action item which came up from this session. Now you need to do it, and we can be accountable partner. We can always be with them and just keep nudging them, pushing them, a bit of gentle reminders here and there, just motivate them a bit, just to ensure that they are not getting distracted. But while you're doing all of these as a coach, still when people don't do all those things, which is gonna change their life, okay, what will affect to a life coach? Nothing, because you're already being paid for that session and you're fine. But as a life coach, which I know most of the people will get attached in a way that we really want to see that change in you, and then it becomes a challenge from both sides. The person not taking the ownership and doing those action items, so it is not going to change anything for them, and from the life coach as well, that we also face this challenge to be attached to that that they should do, and they should get this change, so that to complete that whole cycle of bringing that change.
Another challenge that I have right now in mind, I'm not sure if it's a
Mhm.
challenge, is related to age. And when I'm saying age, I'm
Mm.
referring to, I'm
Mhm.
not sure if you have, because this is one thing that I don't know about you. There will be many, but this is one of them. How old are your customers or your clients? Because at the beginning, I
Mhm.
had this in mind. I will just go towards that group of people that it's less than my age, so that but I'm sure this was something that it's in my mind. But anyway, what is your view about this?
Okay, you brought up a very interesting point here, because doesn't matter, like we don't look at the certain demographies, right? We go and treat everyone as, and but yeah, definitely there's a pattern. Now I'm just thinking when I'm speaking that there's a pattern. So in my clients, if I have to see in the perspective of the age, I think most of them are like pretty much 35 to 40s, early 40s. Yeah, most of them, and some of the younger ones. But now coming to this point where I face someone who is elder to me, because if somebody is younger, or let's say in corporate, who is like less, who has achieved less than you, then it's pretty much like they look up to you. It becomes a tendency that they look up to you, that you are senior in terms of age and experience and achievements. So it's natural. But the people who are like more, like these people who are the founders of this startup, of course they have grown into, they were like in almost touching 40s, and they are like very good, very settled, they're generating a lot of revenues. So when I sit with them, I know that now that you have spoke about this age thing, when I was sitting in the room with these three founders in front of me, I have seen their body language, okay, and they have been like this, that as if they are in command. There was not an equal field, because as a life coach, we expect to be in a level field. We are not superior. We're not superior. We are like together in this. It's a partnership, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, they were in the feeling of that, this guy is young, okay, and what he would know about business and everything. We know a lot about business. So this is how it started. But later on, when I started to, sharing a lot about not just my thing, that, I'm this, I'm that I didn't do. And in fact, after having this 2 hours of discussion, towards the end, in the last 15 minutes, I shared my introduction, right? I didn't tell what all things I did in my life, but I let my work speak, my experience as a life coach speak. Because the moment I started putting them in a position where they started exploring about them, their problems, their gaps, their issues, their challenges, everything was brought on the table. And then suddenly I saw that age thing and the gap thing, right, was getting filled up, and we were together in the whole discussion. But yes, you said it right. It happens. It is definitely there.
It is, and I guess the solution to this will be for people just to look from a different perspective, meaning that we have something that we can offer that they didn't think of. Because a fresh eye, a fresh mind with specific expertise on a certain area can definitely lead you towards your goal. So I guess being open is as equally important from our side, but
Mm-hmm.
from their side as well.
Totally,
So
100%.
yeah.
And there's one more thing to it, Andrea, that people at times feel that, let's say, if somebody is coming to me as a business coach, so they would imagine that I have already established a successful business, like 10 times more successful than them. Or let's say if I am taking a relationship coaching thing, they would expect that I have a best of the relationships with my wife or with my family. So there's a certain expectation attached to it. But I really want to make it clear, because we are talking in detail about life coaching, that life coaches are not necessarily the expert who have done this thing on their own, but they might have some expertise of a lot of many things, but they don't necessarily have to be the champions of that particular field. Because while they are doing these things with you, the life coaching session, they are not expected to share their expertise and everything. That is the mentor's job. But when they are doing, they're equipped with a lot of techniques, a lot of skills, which put you in that position where you explore those blind spots, your new perspectives and angles, with which you haven't seen the problem, right? And the resources which you had but you never noticed. So that requires a different skills altogether. And this is what life coaches does.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah, because
And
it happens. Somebody
mm,
said, like, there's a funny story that, that somebody said that Tony Robbins is a life coach, but he himself is divorced. Hey, come on. So you understand now, right? So it's not about that. He can give you best of the relationship advices and you can
mm.
do magic in your relationship. That doesn't have to be that he is doing wonderful in his relationship. Every person is different. The situation is different.
At the end of the day, the coach
Mhm.
will come to you as a professional. I mean, will not
Yes.
come to you from a friend position, let's say, where you can, I don't know, look into into that from this
Mhm.
perspective. But you should figure out and pay attention to the things that that person can do from a from a profession perspective. So
True, true. And when I said this expertise, I want to be clear now. I feel the need of it that it's not the subject matter expertise. It's the expertise of having those life coaching skills.
mhm, mhm. About that, there's
Yeah.
there's another topic that it's dear to my heart, that are emotions. Tell me a little bit about this from your perspective, which is an, I don't know, maybe an important emotion for you, or how do you see emotions?
Okay. So you just opened a Pandora box. That this is the most, of course, like the most favorite topic and most engaging topic for me because emotions. The human exists because we have emotions. Otherwise, we are just like machines. True. So, and everything what we do in our life, every event, every achievement, any work we put in, any interaction we have with people, it's all because of the emotions which we have in us. So everything, whatever we are doing, the way we are behaving, the way we are speaking right now, and we got engaged and connected, everything, in everything, emotion is playing a biggest role. Okay. And which is why it is very important to have a close awareness of your emotions. You should know what you are feeling, what are those feelings specifically. You should know how to label them, and once you're aware that what exactly you're feeling and those emotions, what emotions you are having that time, then only you can do something about it. Let's say if it's something which is very good, let's say if we are sitting alone, not we, sorry, I'm just saying, even this for me, that if yes, I'm sitting in a lone bridge just looking at the water and the breeze on my face, I should know that this is the feeling I think probably I didn't have when I was in Paris, or when I was like doing all the great things which I always dreamt of. This is awesome. This is amazing. And this is the beauty of being emotionally intelligent. If you are aware of those emotions, you know this is what I want. I want more of this. And also on the other side, when you go through some challenges, in some conversation you felt some distress, something which is bothering you, you can go deep down and tune into your emotions, and you'll realize, oh, this is what I hate the most. I don't want that. Then only you can do something about it, that you can just go away from those kind of discussions or those kind of toxic people. So I feel, and I visit a lot, I visit my emotions a lot. So I know that this is where the best thing happens, because the moment I get and open this Pandora box, I know this is very overwhelming at times. Okay. When you start being emotionally aware or deal with emotions or tune with emotions, it is going to become a very overwhelming thing. But later on, when you get better at it, you will be able to identify the exact emotions, label them, deal with them, and this is how you can control all your life. Because everything what you're doing, as I said at the beginning, it is because of the emotions underlying them.
Which is the best way for you to get close to your emotions and to be so aware of them?
A process called me time, which is very cliched. Everybody knows about it. Hardly people do it. And even the people who are doing it, they probably are not doing it the right way. But for me, I know how to spend the me time. I can just close the door, tune in my favorite music, or I can just start writing, whatever I feel like. But I know how to be in my own company and I enjoy it. I've said it many times, which at times put me in a sort of trouble with my wife, that, I keep saying that I love myself. I am the best company I can ever have. And then she feels a lot of jealousy, you can imagine, right? That how can he say that? But this is the most important thing, which is the most important activity I do in my day, that I spend time with myself and then I tune into it as if, and in that duration, I know that there's nothing which I'm being bothered about. What is my next meeting, what I did in past, what is going to happen in future. I just be in that moment. with me, just assessing how the things are moving. And then all of a sudden, I feel that as if the time has stopped, everything started moving very slow. Okay, I'm just going in a very fictional way and very imaginative world, but I hope you're getting the feeling.
And I was while you were talking, I was thinking about this concept of self-love, self-care that is also related to what you said at the beginning, that you are enough. Because you hear this all the time, that it's important to love yourself, to accept yourself as you are, to take care of yourself, and so on. What is your view
Remember
on
I told you that everything is connected. Everything is like holistically connected. That if we talk about doing something on the business front, even a small change in your self-love activity will give you a lot of dividends, and rewards in your business as well. So while we are talking and touching so many different things, now we're covering everything what comes in this horizon of life coaching, right? So everything is connected.
And you said something before that stick with me about the fact that you're taking time for yourself, that it's something simple that most people don't do. I guess this is one of the challenges, the most in challenges for us, is the fact that exactly this, we don't tend to do the things that are the easiest to be done. So but I guess every change should start with small steps, and will with the simple step that you can do for yourself,
Exactly.
that will
Can
lead
I
you
share one
there.
funny story on this? Right, when you're
Sure.
speaking, I just remembered that exactly what we just spoke, right? And what exactly happened, this person wanted to have a session with me. He booked it, but he's not able to manage time to spend with me because he is in lockdown, so many people in the house, and he should just got a newborn baby, so everything is like rushing around it. But he really wanted to come and speak to me, and for that matter, so what I did, I just suggested few. I had one Instagram live session on this emotional check. Okay, so what I did while he was not able to find the space to connect with me, I asked him to do this emotional check, just be with him. And I told him that just open a session, okay? Don't think that as if you are talking to me, okay? I'll just give you a few activities and just keep doing it, okay? I'm not going to be there, you just do it on your own. So what I had in my mind, that people, if they spend this me time nicely with them, they will probably get, if not all the answers, they will get most of their answers on their own. So they just need to have that kind of environment created. I knew that it might not work, but because he had this challenge of not finding the space to connect with me, I just thought, why to let him, suffer for that duration? Let him do this, and he did. He did, and he was like telling, "Are you a magician or what? You did something from there or what? You got connected via telepathy or something?" I was like, "No, no, no." We laughed like for some time, and he said, "You know what? I see a lot of things which I haven't seen so far." While he was praising me, but and you both of us know, right, what actually worked for him. He just had to spend that time with him. Deep inside, he had to have a close look and close check on his emotions and what's happening around. And that provided a lot of insights to him.
And another advantage that I see of this thing, people spending time with them, is the fact that in that moment they find exactly what best works for them. Because most of the time, if you don't know who you truly are, or if you don't know which are the things that you like the most, have the tendency to do what you see in others, or to do what others do. I don't know, for example, have a routine of waking up at 5 a.m. and have 10 minutes of, I don't know,
Yeah, I
a
fell into
cold
that trap as
shower
well.
and this kind of stuff. I don't know, maybe this is something that won't suit you. And if there's something that won't suit you, you won't do it on a long term. That's why it's really important to find exactly what is best for you. And the coach
Well said.
can definitely help with this one.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Well
Well,
said.
we're getting close to the end of our episode, and
Okay.
I have a last question that I would like to ask. But before that question, is there something that you, I don't know, you have in mind and you would like to tell to our listeners, or if there's something that you wish we would have discussed and we didn't?
Okay, so we pretty much went with the flow, and I think we covered so many things. Okay, so I particularly didn't have any agenda. I just wanted to have this conversation about this life coaching in general. right? And with the focus, with the only focus is not about just to brag about what we do, but the complete focus was on how people can be more knowledgeable while making their decision to, be with some life coach. So I don't think we haven't missed. We touched a lot of things. I'm quite happy with that. That it was just flowing. There's not at all where we. For a moment, I didn't think that I'm just trying to use my brain. It was just all heart.
And I enjoy a lot the conversation. So yeah, I'm sure that our listeners will enjoy as well, and it's full of
Probably one
insights.
thing I can just say that,
Sure.
one thing I was like telling in my last session, because it was brought from so many people that they have this misconception about what exactly is coaching. Some people think that we are therapists, that, they can go and fix their deeper issues, right? Like the disorders or some kind of, phobias and anxiety disorders, right? So I need to just draw the boundary there. Okay. And it is very important because when people face these challenges, right, they don't know whom to contact. And the work which we all do are kind of bit overlapped, right? But there's a clear distinction as well. So shall I tell a bit about this?
Sure. Please.
All right. All right. So, okay. So there are a few type of people, the professions. Okay. So we need to understand in this way that, and I'll tell from the people's perspective. I'll not go into details of what everyone does, but I'll just tell people a kind of a handbook or template to identify to whom to contact in that situation. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's like this. Let's say if you are having any kind of a discomfort, I would say, right? Not a disorder, not a big problem or some mess or challenge. So some kind of discomfort, right? And you are particularly feeling bad about something, or even you don't know that what's happening with you. For this kind of level, I call it the level one. You should go and meet your friend. Okay. So anybody who has the right intent with you, a friend or brother or family or parent, right? These are the people, they will just sit with you because they have the right intent. They'll speak something good about you, and then they should be able to fix that level one problem. Okay. And I know that there, with time, we have lost touch with our friends, and that is also a big sign that why people are being isolated and alone. But if you have a group of people, a right association, right kind of people who wants to uplift you, then probably you'll not get these level one issues often. Okay. Now, second thing is, let's say this discomfort is pretty much recurring and it's happening all the time, and this is something which is not being fixed by the friends or somebody. It requires some sort of understanding that what exactly is the root cause. And this is when the level two, and in the level two, I keep life coaches comes into picture. If you go to them, they have the right tools and skill set. They can find those deep hidden or the root causes, and they can give you a lot of understanding about yourself, what issue you're facing, right? And at the same time, you also get some expertise from them which can help you to come up with some kind of action items with which you can help those things. So I put life coaches at level two, where you are getting these recurring things or deeper things. Now there's a level three, and now this life coaches can also be referred in level three. As I said earlier, that there are a lot of overlapping as well, but there's a clear distinction as well. So I'll come to that distinction part as well. So that L1, L2, life coaches can handle. Okay, even if you don't have anybody to talk to, not a friend, nobody in your family, then also you can just speak to life coach. They can help you with that. Level one, level two, they care. Now in the level three, if that challenge is very much deep rooted in your past, or if it is coming from your future, like from the anxiety, it is very deep rooted, and it is not going to be solved by just talking about it or exploring about it, or just figuring it out that this is the problem, now let's fix it. Even if we know, after that also there's a lot of work to get it fixed. This is when even the life coaches can fix some part of it, but you need to go to meet the therapist and the psychologist, right? That is the level three. These people are expert in those kind of things. Sometimes there are some trauma, some phobia, some sort of disorder which is deep rooted to some past memory. If it is a lighter one, there are a lot of ways in NLP which most of the life coaches practice. I do. So using NLP and other life coaching techniques, you can also fix those things. But if the intensity is too high, right, and if it is not getting fixed, then you should definitely go and see the counselor, the psychologist or therapist. That is the level three problem. And now the last one, that none of these things worked, and you're still very much in the problem, and that is getting more and more grieved by the time, and there is a requirement to And there is a pretty much evident thing that you might need a medication. Why you need a medication? Because you have this conscious and subconscious brain, and a lot of thoughts and emotions and behavioral things which psychologists and even the life coaches can help you with. While if you can't fix by using these things, that means it is a bit beyond your control. Your brain or your cognitive function is pretty much not, that strong to do that on their own. This is when you need the medical intervention. And this is when the level 4 comes, where you need to see a psychiatrist. They are the ones who know that where exactly and what exactly you need to be given, so that you get some sort of external, help via medication, and then you can fight it out. So yeah, this is the pretty much template which I tell people to distinguish what level to see whom.
Thanks for clarification. I guess this is really important for everyone to know exactly, as you mentioned, depending on which are the challenges that you have, to know exactly to whom to go. So yeah, thanks for this. Good. So we're approaching the end of the episode, as I said, and I have one last question. That is, if you can share 3 ideas or pieces of information or advice that our listeners should stick to after this conversation.
Oh, lovely. The power of 3. Good. No, good that it is coinciding with what I generally give people. There are 3 advices which is particularly, and I very explicitly mention to people that this is what I want from everyone. Doesn't matter, they come with whatever problem, whatever challenge, and whatever background or walk of life. The moment they are with me, these are the 3 exact advice which I tell them. Okay, so it goes like this. The first thing is, be aware of who you really are, because I believe everything begins with this. If you don't get this one thing sorted, you are going to be like a headless chicken, or there's no way you can figure it out that what makes you happy and what is the solution and what is going to work for you. Everything, whatever we do together, that is not going to fall into point, because you are not sure what you are. So my first advice to everyone out there, even if there is no problem in your life, or if there are a lot of problems in your life, figure it out who you really are. Be self-aware. Know exactly what you like, who you are as a person, what you like, what you don't like, what is your belief, what are your value systems, what are your mission, vision, what is the purpose of your life. So it's too deep. Start doing it from today and start exploring about yourself. If you can do it alone, do it. If you can find someone, do it. But ensure that you do this first thing, first advice, you follow it. Be aware of who you really are. The second thing, which I tell people, know exactly where are you going. Now, what does it mean? That, and I think pretty much, I think we shared this conversation as well, that I love to see what people are up to, what is their goals, where exactly they want to be. So this really triggers a sense of being, right? Not just for me, not just for you, for everyone. If you don't know where exactly you are going, you are going to be lost in this world. If somebody will tell you, okay, let's go to Brasov, let's go to Sinaia, let's go to this Transfiguration, but you really want to be in Bucharest. I'm just putting in the context, and then also bragging about that I have been in Romania and I love that place. But what happens is, if you don't know, right, what will happen, because it happened with me, because I hated to be in city and hotel. I was bored of it. So I insisted my Romanian friends to please get me to the countryside. I wanted to see those green fields. And I stayed there. I loved it. And that would have, and it's one of the beautiful memory I have in my mind, just waking up in that cold winter and seeing those, cows grazing in the field and the greenery around it. I just loved it. And that would have not happened, because if I don't know who I am, I wanted that. Now, the second thing, which I said, know exactly where are you going. So you should know what are your plans, what are the goals, where are you heading to. And sometimes people feel that there's a lot of clarity needs to be done. Okay, you don't have to know that exactly at the end of your life where you will be. Even if you can know that today what you're going to do, start with it. And then we'll see from that point onwards that what are we going to do next day and the next day and the next day. But at any point of time, you need to know where exactly you're going. You need to have goals. And the third thing, that always have a plan to act on. I keep telling people that, once you know that what you are, and then you know where you are going, always have an action plan, that what are you going to do now? Okay, this is where I'm going, but what is it which you're going to do right now? What is the action plan? Okay, and this is where the fun begins, because you like, I'm getting very excited while I'm speaking it, because once people reach to this phase, they can relate to what I'm feeling about. I'm jumping on my chair right now because I feel that the moment you know who you really are, where are you going, it opens a lot of possibilities. Then the fun begins. And then if you don't have the plan, then you're wasting all that energy, right? You have just created a lot of magic around you, but you're not doing anything. So have an action plan, exact steps, what you're gonna do. And then and then the fun begins, because every moment you are up to something, and there's never a dull moment, and you're always enthusiastic about life. You're always looking forward to it. You're looking with so much energy in you, because when you have a plan in your hand, you don't have to think about it's a good plan or bad plan. It's just a plan, right? How it will work out, nobody knows. You just need to follow it. And
Mm.
there's one thing I really want to mention it, because either you make this plan by sitting alone or with your friend or somebody else, or please look out for those life coaches around you, whoever is near you. They are the people who have the right intent to help you. They have the right understanding. They will know what exactly you are, what is your goal, and what exact plan will suit you. And then they have the expertise to help you take you to that desired state. So please go and just get this action plan ready for yourself. So just to sum it up, these three things: be aware of who you are, second, know exactly where you're going, and then third is always have a plan to act on. That's it from my side. These are the advices I give to everyone.
Thank you. And related to what you said, because the moment when you know exactly why you are doing something and where do you want to go, if there will be any challenges on the road, you will
Yeah,
be more not motivated, but more triggered to do that. So you won't give up if you know exactly
right.
which is your
Yes.
purpose
You'll be
and your
more
mission.
connected, more associated.
Okay, that's it. I guess that was it for our episode. So thank you so
Okay.
much, Sanjay, for taking
Mhm.
time to have this conversation, for sharing so many relevant information with with all our listeners. And thank you for being my first English speaker. But I guess it will open the door for so many. And at the end of the day, I hope that our
Mhm.
listeners got exactly the message that we wanted to share. That a life coach can definitely bring a lot of value into your life,
Right.
into your journey. And don't hesitate to get in touch with
Yes.
one. And as you said, Sanjay, yeah, the life coach has the right intent. They only want to see people grow, see more people be empowered of who they truly are. So thank you so
Exactly.
much.
Thanks a lot, Andrea. I just really love this conversation, because, as I told you, that once we were connected, we are having same mission, same vision. We kind of follow the same purpose. So that
Mhm.
vibe is very much, mutual. And I really
Exactly.
loved it. And the kind of questions you had for me, as I said, I never had a one single moment where I had to think. Okay, it was just flowing from one point to another. So that's the beauty of it. And I hope that, there's something which, it is a great cause you have come up with, the perspective you're providing to people, right? And in order to do that, I hope that I was able to convey something, and the value which they were looking for, they would get it. And you already said it, that, don't hesitate, just look out for someone and just open up the conversation and let it lead you wherever it can.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. A lovable
Thanks a lot,
conversation.
Andrea.
Thank you.
So, this is it for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I did when I recorded it. And I also hope that the mission of the podcast reached your heart. As I say to the people I get in contact with, I have a personal ambition to make this world a better place and to inspire you to find out which are those resources that you need so that you live a life that you love with few or no regrets and without constantly asking yourself, what would have been if, or if I only knew this earlier. I really trust that you are able to design for yourself that beautiful life that you cherish and that you are proud of. If you want to support my mission, please share this episode, get subscribed to my YouTube channel, or simply get in contact with me and let me know what do you need. Help me first so that I can help you afterwards. You can find details on how to contact me in the description box. and also in the description of the episode. The episodes can be listened on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Breaker, Anchor, and of course, YouTube. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end. Hope you got inspired and hope to hear from you soon. And also, thank you for spreading kindness around you and for being as good as you can be with the people around you. And as always, keep in mind that when people get together, things are always easier.